Greetings, this is Tanya. So I'm doing a video which was suggested by two of my closest sisters for the booster campaign, Abuse Free for Eternity. So I'm going to just jump right in and explain how I have been led to do this campaign. And the purpose is to fundraise in order to assist me in beginning a charity to assist people in being free of abuse in all forms. So in December, on a weekday, I was sharing a vehicle with who I co-parent with, my legal husband. We have been co-parenting for 4 years, and we were at that time sharing a vehicle. So the routine is that I take him to work, and this is if I'm going to use the vehicle while he's at work. I take him to work, and usually he gets picked up by midnight. So on this particular day, the plan, as expected, is that I pick him up at midnight, and by 10 p.m., he calls and he tells me that he is off of work. He finished early and asked if I could come and pick him up. I let him know that I was not in his neighborhood and not in the neighborhood of his job, and that I was not able to come and pick him up. He immediately responded, expressing that that was unacceptable. And I could remember instantly going into accommodating mode, and he hung up on me, and I then called him back at work. And the intention was to prevent or be proactive with calming him so that I didn't receive a certain kind of treatment. I called him back at work, and I wanted to confirm that he heard me when I said I wasn't able to come. So there wasn't any surprises, and it didn't escalate. So when I said, "Did you hear me? I won't be able to come early," he said, "Yeah." Very dry, very harsh, and again, as if it was unacceptable. So I continued to do what I was in the middle of doing, and at 11:30 p.m. I got a call from him, and he did not greet me when I answered, and he said, "Where are you?" with disgust in his voice. And I was accommodating. I did not reciprocate his tone, and I assured him that I was on my way. I got to his job at midnight, which, as I said, is his normal pickup time. When I got to the job, he walked up to the vehicle. I had our children. We have 2 sons, 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. They were also with me. They were in the vehicle. He walked up to the vehicle. He did not greet them. He did not acknowledge them. He did not kiss them on the cheek or show any type of affection. And they were both awake. He got right into the car, and he immediately said, "Where were you?" And told me that I was not going to be using the vehicle anymore unless it was specifically for work. He told me if I did not stop driving the van, that he was going to crash it so no one could drive it. Now, this is very disturbing to hear, number one, as an adult. Also, this vehicle was created for our household by my direct efforts. I located the vehicle, I initiated buying the vehicle, and the only reason why he feels as though he has this imaginary authority is because at the time I purchased the vehicle 3 years ago, I also was financing another vehicle, a lease. And this company did not allow me to have a second vehicle financed in my name personally. So I needed to put the vehicle in his name. So because he knows the vehicle is in his name and is registered to him, that he interprets that as ownership and a means of authority with the vehicle. So he continues to move on and express other ways that he has authority. So I had plans for the weekend, and then he says, and I'm not watching the boys for you to go out this weekend, so cancel it. He's saying it very matter of fact. He's being condescending. He's making a lot of facial expressions. And I'm driving, by the way, and our children are present. We're now yelling at each other. I'm telling him that he's being unreasonable and he's being abusive. And he says, so what? So what? I'm abusive. So what? Then he tells me that there are some papers, personal papers, that are kept on a shelf in our dining room. And he told me, and I asked you to move the papers that are in the dining room, and you still haven't done it. When are you going to do it? And usually I would mention what my goal would be to do it. And instead, because we were in a heated argument, I said, the papers are my business, and it is not going to impact my life, and I'll get to it. Still being respectful, still doing what I think I could do to calm the situation so it doesn't escalate. So that was unacceptable for me to tell him that, and in his rage, he told me, well, you don't have the option to do it when you want, and I'm going to put them in the trash tonight. So we get to the house. He does not help me take the children out of our vehicle. They are both in car seats. He doesn't even acknowledge really their presence this entire experience. So I take them both out of the vehicle, and when we get inside, he is placed in front of the shelf where my personal papers are. And these personal papers include business plans, clearances, certifications, personal goals, notes from books, treasures. And he knows that. He understood that. So by this time, when I come in the house and I have our two children, I sit them on the couch. He's placed in front of the shelf with a roll of trash bags. He starts to violently put my papers into trash bags in front of my face, in front of our children, and he never once looks back at me to see my reaction, as if he's expecting me to have no reaction. So I sit our children on the couch. They're watching. I go over to him. His eyes are burning red. And I say to him, do not throw away my things. He turns to me, and his response, and his body language, and his tone convinced me that if I did not shut up and sit down, that I would pay for it. that he would hurt me, that I would regret it. So I listened. I walked away. I took a lot of deep breaths. I stood in the moment for a minute or two. And Spirit told me to move on to my other responsibilities. So I grabbed my sons and we went upstairs and we prepared for resting. So I breastfed, we brushed our teeth, etc. And we went to bed. Before going to bed, I text messaged my coworker, giving her a little bit of information as to what just transpired. And I asked her. So my coworker agreed to come in for me, and I called out of work. At that time, my son's father used to watch our sons while I went to work part-time. And after that experience, I did not trust that he would treat them with love and care. So I called out. This is now a Friday. And the next morning, I woke up and started to pack clothes that we could wear immediately. When he noticed that I had bags in the bedroom that I slept in, he asked, again not greeting me, he said, "Are you moving out?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Perfect." He does not acknowledge anything that I experienced. He then goes to the computer and sends a text message through a Comcast login and lets one of his female friends know that I'm moving out and suggested that she check what is required for her to end her lease so that she can come and move into our house since I'm leaving. Again, he does not care that I'm aware of what he's writing. So I asked my mom to pick us up, and we leave the house with a few bags of clothes, a desktop computer, a laptop computer, cell phone, toiletries, and that's it. We go to my mom's house. Thankfully, my mom had 2 empty rooms, and we were able to transition in that way. So the next day, I looked for those papers in the neighborhood trash bins. I skipped a part. After he put my belongings in trash bags, he left the house with 5 trash bags of my papers and came back without them. When he came back, I went outside, I checked the van. The trash bags were not there. So the next day, I searched for the bags to see if I could locate them. I couldn't. I asked him where they were. He told me why. And he didn't tell me at that time. So after that experience, I have not been back to the house that we own together. We are civil. We're communicating about necessities, how to move forward with the divorce ASAP. We were co-parenting, and we weren't rushing the divorce since we were still co-parenting. But for me now, it is number 1 priority. So we're civil, as I said. He has not apologized. It's been 2 months, and um, the desire now is to create resources more for myself and for others who may have experienced what I'm experiencing now, or to assist people in freeing themselves from abusive situations. Abuse is one of the number one causes of homelessness for women and their children. It is something that is a part of our lives, in the thread and fabric of our lives, and in my experience, it isn't addressed appropriately to the extent of how prevalent it's occurring. So this is now a part of my day-to-day goals to do my part and be led to allow my experience to help me to receive the lessons and to understand my denial, understand how my priorities were not divine and balanced in order for this to have occurred. And I'm grateful for the lessons. I'm grateful for the process. And I thank everyone for taking the time to visit this site, taking the time to watch this video, taking the time to allow me to share my experience, so that the significance of helping another person to be freed from abuse can become more of a global priority. So, in conclusion, the name of the charity and the design is Abuse Free for Eternity. So, we don't just want to empower others to eliminate abuse, but we want there to be no abuse for eternity, for our futures, for the future generations, our future lives. And we can accomplish that, absolutely. Thank you for your time. Please, please, please take the time to explore the campaign fully. Leave a comment, support, share this campaign with your circle, and any questions, feel free to ask, and I will talk to you or be in connection soon. Take care.